Undo these chains, my friend. I'll show you the rage I've hidden. Perish the sacrament. Swallow, but nothing's forgiven. You and I can't decide which of us was taken for granted. Make amends. Some of us are destined to be outlived. Step inside, to the devil and I. Too many times we've let it come to this. Step inside, to the devil and I. You realize I'm not your devil anymore.
Way Off Topic Radio. What is going on, everybody? Just enjoying a little Slipknot every now and then. I think they're what do I call you?
Hypernuts.
Yep, there you go. At Hypernuts on Twitter, and so yeah, make sure you follow them, check them out. Always retweeting some good Game of Thrones content like me. Well, if you follow Way Off Topic Radio, just drop the A because Twitter can suck my nuts with the fuck them. So what's up, Hyper Nuts guy?
Oh, not a whole lot.
It is kind of funny saying your Twitter handle out loud. I mean, I read it, I'm like, that's cool, and cool avatar. But, then having you on the show and calling you that, it's weird. I just want to call you Jeff or something.
He's going to make me a meme.
Hypernuts, Jeff. Jeff Hypernuts.
Uh,
So HN, I like that. There you go. I like that.
HN.
Hypernuts, HN. Or how about Yo Z? Z. There you go. I like that. You are now a Star Trek character.
Yeah, I earned the name Hypernuts, and it's stuck with me for a long time.
So why exactly does somebody get named Hypernuts? Just I'm sure you're hyper and nuts, I guess.
The quick version of the story is some guys I used to party with. We used to do a lot of
nuts.
we used to do a lot of street racing.
Right on.
And just wild dumb shit in our early 20s. And one day they just came to me and said, from now on, you're hyper nuts because you're hyper and you're nuts. So
we all had a friend growing up like that, man.
So it might not, it's not as exactly as it sounds when you first hear it. The story behind it puts the truth, and then once you get to know me, you're like, yep, that's you.
Well, the Slipknot song was your pick. There you go. Devil Worshipper. Yeah, Hypernuts. I've said it time and time again ever since, dude. The Slipknot show that I saw, it was at the Electric Factory in Philly, right?
Right.
They headlined and Soulfly, that shit band that for some reason people thought were hardcore but weren't. They opened for him, and I think I went outside. I don't know. I didn't give a shit. But when Slipknot came on, dude, halfway through that show, I have never been in a crowd that literally would go left to right, like almost like a waves of people just crashing. Like I went to the left wall, I went to the right wall, I went to the left wall, but with the whole crowd, it was the craziest fucking experience.
So, some concerts, man, they'll put you in the zone, the entire crowd.
But I mean, but like concerts like that, like if whether it be like I mean I literally second to that, other than my first concert ever was Pink Floyd, so that's why I started playing the guitar 25 years ago. That Division Bell concert. But my point being
Nice.
is, hell yeah, dude, it was awesome. We were 20 rows from the stage, and I got to see the most amazing guitar player play guitar, David Gilmour, and I was like, wow, I need to be able to play that. I can't, by the way. I've tried. So, but anyway, my point being is, Slipknot, number one, most insane concert I've ever been a part of. But I gotta say, the second one was Manson, the recent Manson when Twiggy came back. That Manson, not the original. And I was taken, like, I'd never seen a man hang halfway over like a fake podium or whatever, with his entire fist in his mouth, singing on key. I was amazed. I was like,
Nice.
That's talent right there, folks. So, but in concerts like that, man, where do you like to be at? I mean, do you like to be in the circles, kick dancing? You like to be around the circles, away from them? What?
Hey, depending on what concert it was, I mean, and who's playing, I would like to be in the mosh pits.
Well, I do.
If it was like some, I don't know. I also like blues too. If it was like blues, or if it was like even something like outlaw country or something, I would rather just sit down and have a glass of whiskey, and just relax.
I can honestly never say I've actually seen a outdoor.
Sit at the bar and just listen.
So you're down with country music? You like it?
Outlaw country, yes.
What exactly? What Leonard Skinner type shit?
Leonard Skinner's good. He definitely helped pave the way. But I mean, stuff like
Southern rock, yeah.
Yeah, Southern rock is more. He's more Southern. Yes, he is definitely. Thank you for putting that out there. He is definitely more Southern rock than anything else. But I mean, as far as outlaw country goes, I mean, like Jamie Johnson or Waylon Jennings or Johnny Cash. I mean,
okay.
there's all kinds of guys that I would label as outlaw. Now, the progressive music nowadays is nowhere near what was outlaw back then.
They don't make real music anymore, dude.
Not in country, they don't.
I not in any genre, they don't.
I mean, honestly, you could compare outlaw country's quality back when it originally started and how it kind of had its takeoff within the country music industry.
What was it, like 60s?
To the same to how good, like as in the difference of how good Metallica was with old Metallica and new Metallica.
Dude, Metallica.
I mean,
like
it's
85. You kidding me?
It's night and day.
Oh my God.
It is night and day.
Metallica's 6-7 minute just guitar solo, drums, whatever.
Yeah.
No words.
Right.
I mean, what happened? The Black Album happened, and they got rich.
That and their bassist died.
That tends to hurt a band.
Yes, it does.
Although he was just the bassist, dude.
Well, I mean, bassist. I mean, look at Dimebag Darrell. Well, actually, no. Dimebag Darrell was a guitarist.
He was a guitarist.
Sorry, messed that up too.
But, yeah, I mean, poor Dimebag Darrell. That was tragic. I mean, oh my God, that's just somebody should not. Yeah, no. I mean, but that was back when security would let you get up on stage so you could jump into the crowd. Just that,
Really?
this guy didn't, he, yeah. What did he shoot him with?
I
22 or
forget.
something?
I remember it was a. I heard that it was a Marine, I think, that shot Dimebag Daryl.
Oh,
And
no,
I can't.
that's definitely, yeah. I'm just
I
wondering.
can't.
I can't remember the gun.
I can't. I can't either.
I remember it was
I
small.
remember. I can't remember if it was over the guy's wife or whatever. But
No, I
I think
thought
the service members, women alone.
I really have no idea. I never got deep into the story of the why. I never really cared why. It was just it sucked. Period. But anyway,
Right.
yeah. Rest in peace. Yeah, a lot of musicians, man. No, I'm sorry. Just Chester's been on my mind a lot. Him, whatever. Then Cornell. Too. Oh, what's going on? People, say help, please. Anyway, Game of Thrones. That's why I know this cocksucker.
You were thinking of musicians because Rhaegar was such an amazing musician with the harp. That's what it was.
Well, he made women cry, dude. Can you do that with a harp?
I mean,
Exactly. Oh,
would I? But
Boom.
this is the thing. Would I try?
Burned.
No. even if I could play the harp.
do you know how
That-
insanely difficult it is to play the harp? Like,
Honestly, I failed music class. So I mean,
I
I played the recorder. So I don't know. I don't know how to play the harp from Adam. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute, isn't the recorder like a plastic flute?
No, a recorder is like the most simplest instrument that you can play. You just blow in it, and like I could play "Mary Had a Little Lamb."
Oh yeah, yeah, or hot cross buns.
Yeah.
It's the same song. Anyway, moving on. But yeah, so I know this guy from Twitter. There's a YouTube Game of Thrones community out there that's getting bigger by the day, it seems. A lot of videos coming out, most of them spoilers. Stay away from them. It'll just ruin the experience for you. And my curiosity got the better of me, and I read that entire season 7 leak. And Dan from Talking Thrones, he did too. And then Don went over it step by step, how much of it was bullshit, how much of it could have been true. I'd say 80-20. I don't know if you know or if you saw it there. Z, what about it? Did you?
You broke up. Sorry.
No, I'm saying, did you see on Talking Thrones, Don, Willie, and Dan, going over the entire season 7 leak before the season?
I missed that.
Okay, so this last season wasn't spoiled for you at all?
No, I don't watch the spoiler videos. I mean, I've watched a couple, and I've listened to some theories that gave some spoilers to me, gave some spoilers away from me, and I was like, oh, that happens, or that happened, or that's why that happened, and so it was kind of already ruined. I tried to block it out and just watch the episode and go on with it.
I love the assholes in the comments that would come out with their own, like, my idea is that they're going to do this, and I'm reading it and I'm like, you fucking.
To be quite honest with you, like when Game of Thrones is coming on, I don't look at Twitter, I don't look at the internet, and if I know there's a spoiler out there, I will not go exploring on YouTube content or Twitter or anything. I try to I try to block out the internet so I don't get something spoiled. I mean, but it happens. I mean,
well, don't play Angel over here. Mister sent me the link for the episode that got leaked early.
hey, I told you I wasn't going to spoil it for you, and I didn't. I just gave you.
No, you
I just
didn't.
gave you the key to the door, and
Dude,
all you had to do was
I
stick it
watched.
in and
Okay,
turn it, bro.
I mean, literally, how far did it take for the little finger scene to happen in that episode? About what, a minute and a half, right?
Uh, I mean,
About that?
you're talking. Are we gonna
No,
throw out a spoiler warning?
no. This is season 7. It's already happened. It's
Okay,
we're talking about the season like everybody's already seen it because
okay,
that's why our episode reviews, they are spoiler reviews, but we do them on Thursdays or Wednesdays because we figure if you haven't watched it by now, you're not going to, and probably not going to listen to this because you're not a Game of Thrones fan. So it
right.
doesn't matter. But
Back to the little finger, though. The
yeah,
point of his trial, you mean? That
no.
was
No. That's the last episode. That wasn't leaked.
okay.
My point being is the first episode. I think it was episode 4. Wasn't it
Okay.
episode 4? Like Littlefinger, you start off with Littlefinger, right? I think it was
Oh, you're
him.
talking about with Bran.
Yeah, he was giving him the dagger.
Everybody was looking at the previews. Everyone was looking at the previews and saying that he was going to kill Bran with that knife, and everyone was wrong. That was before they saw the leak, and then the leak came out. And as soon as the leak came out, I was like, "All right, I'm watching it." I watched it, and I'm laughing that everybody thought it was this, and I'm like, "Well, I can see how because he did unsheath that knife in a very aggressive way, and I can agree on the thoughts and theories that he was going to kill somebody with it because, I mean, come on, he did really like pull that knife out with force. Unless that the end of that hilt or the start of that hilt where the blade comes to it is real secure in there, so the blade say doesn't fall out of its sheath. I mean, like he yanked it out and like looked like he was about to handle business with it.
Well, he was so goddamn familiar with it.
Well, I mean, yeah, the truth came out. The truth came out that
It was his.
later that it was his and it never was Tyrion's. And
Well,
I remember.
we kind of already knew that. I mean, we never knew that it was, his, because I think the other theory was it was Robert's.
Well, think about it though. We assume, well, right, because of the gamble, but
Hmm.
not having any book
No,
knowledge,
no.
but not having.
The gamble was Littlefinger said that he lost a bet to Tyrion and it was his, but he gave it to Tyrion as payment of a bet he lost.
Yeah, because they were gambling between Jamie Lannister and I think Barristan Selmy. I
Right.
think was what the lie he told.
Yeah, and what he said is that Tyrion bet Littlefinger that Jamie would lose, and Tyrion's always said, "I never bet against my family."
Oh, of course not. Not especially against Jamie with two hands. He would never do that.
No, and Jamie won.
He was always the savior.
Yeah, I mean, Barristan Selmy, he was badass and all. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, Jamie won that whatever lance fight, whatever they do, whatever it's called. I don't know. The
Joust.
joust. That's right. Yeah, I knew it with J.
That's two jousts that Barristan Selmy lost to two good fighters. He lost to Jamie Lannister and he lost to
Rhaegar.
Rhaegar.
Sounds kind of like that's what you do.
That's what I think too. I mean,
But Jamie
legendary fighter.
Jamie Lannister though, at the time he would have been young and people hated his smugness already. I don't think Barristan Selmy held back on Jamie.
Yeah,
But
I mean Jamie was young, so if anything, like you would think that the older Kingsguard would be trying to bring in the younger generation and with a better education of say sword fight play and jousting and whatever to teach them how to be a great warrior to protect the king when they've served their duty and they're no
Right.
longer around.
exactly. And thinking back, remember when dumb Catelyn arrested Tyrion? Jamie found out. He went after Ned on his horse. Remember that? And the Lannisters, no, they were the gold cloaks. They they were around, and Jamie got off his horse and was like, yelling at Ned about her, arresting Tyrion and everything.
Yeah.
And they were fighting, and then all of a sudden, one of the gold cloaks, stabbed him through the leg. Remember
Yes, I remember
that? What did Jamie do? He turns around and he knocks out the dude that did that to Ned. I
Right,
love it.
because it was a dishonorable move, and he wanted to beat Ned honorably, so he could say that he beat Ned Stark, and say single combat.
Yeah, and the reason I bring it up is I think that's the first part, or first thing in the entire story that Jamie's story arc and what he was to what he was going to become. I think that was the first thing that we saw that clued into a foreshadowing of that. I'm just saying, it just kind of popped up. Well, what do you think?
Him foreshadowing, stabbing Ned Stark in the leg.
Well, he didn't. The Gold Cloak did, yeah.
Well, if any foreshadowing that it caused. Lost my train of thought.
That's okay. I do it all the time.
Yeah, well,
Way off topic radio, everybody. So where can they find you on Twitter?
Jamie.
Oh, Jamie's your real name. Fine, I got his real name, everybody.
No. Jamie not having one of his men, but I guess if anything, he could say that the Lannisters would get in the way of his battle with the Stark.
Wow.
Honor against the Stark. With the Starks, if anything, because he said, he wanted his brother back because he's always been the savior of Tyrion,
Right.
and it was a while before Tyrion. It was until someone else stood up for Tyrion in a tribal combat. Jamie tried to keep his honor with Stark, but yet he was put in between a rock and a hard place with Cersei, and he had to go behind the scenes and help Brienne get armor and give her a sword and send her on her way. And he was making out like the Stark girls were safe because Sansa was in King's Landing, but that was like the worst place for her to be. But yet, until she left, she was if you ask me, she got involved in a worse situation when she left King's Landing, because what happened to her in the north at her own home was worse than what stuff had happened to her at King's Landing. Yes, the same thing that happened to her, the one thing, the big, awful thing that happened to her at Winterfell almost happened at King's Landing, but she had someone like the Hound to protect her.
Yep.
And, Jamie, he swore that oath to Catelyn Stark, and we're going to see in season 8, if he's going to be able to have any kind of honorable deeds towards the Starks or for the Starks.
Yeah, he's going to die for them.
I think that is very possible, but what gets me about it is Jon and Daenerys and all them, they think that Cersei's going to help them. They probably don't believe it.
Well, I think Jaime gets there and then he tells him, listen, she's full of shit.
Oh, yeah, of course. He's going to tell Tyrion that, and Tyrion's going to, immediately say, look, Jaime wouldn't lie about this. Why would he? Once they hear the story, it's going to be self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Because why would he say?
I think Tyrion already knows, because Tyrion knows Cersei way too well.
Well, he's no idiot. He drinks and he knows things.
Yeah, but
you don't get much smarter than that. But anyway,
season 7 was his worst season as far as him being clever. I'll give him that.
What I was going to say about Jaime getting up there, and this comes back to the not being able to do anything honorable by the Starks, is I'm wondering if Arya and Sansa are going to try to have a trial to call him out about Bran, or is Bran just going to thank him for helping him lead to the three-eyed raven.
Bran doesn't remember.
Brienne going to get in the middle of this too and say, look, he gave me armor, he gave me the sword, and they know that because she's carrying, Oathkeeper, the Lannister house sword that was to go to Jaime, but Jaime gave it to her because it's originally from ice. Or is it going to be something like, is Jaime going to give them Widow's Wail and Brienne's going to give up Oathkeeper, and are they going to reforge ice with Gendry?
Well, that's the only reason why Gendry was brought back into the story, dude. I mean, it makes too much sense.
Well, it makes sense. The blacksmith that he was an apprentice under knew how to reforge Valyrian steel.
We saw it. He's the one who made Oathkeeper and Widow's Wail.
So is this going to be one of those things where Gendry is going to help honor the Starks and bring back ice so they can have their ancestral sword back? In some form, in spirit at least, it's not going to be the same, but it'll be close.
And then Jon wield the thing. Jon, all 5'4" of them.
Ice is a ceremonial sword. It's too big to take in combat. I mean, honestly, the only character or the only person in Westeros or Essos that could probably wield ice is the Mountain, maybe the Hound.
That's true.
I mean, look how big his greatsword is that he already swings. Like if you remember when he was in King's Landing, and Cersei walks up to him.
Yeah.
Remember the size of that sword?
It's humongous.
Yeah. So a guy that size, he's probably the only one that could actually do combat with ice, per se, versus like Ned Stark or any of the other Stark children wielding it as a ceremonial sword.
Yeah, that's true. I'll probably hang it up somewhere.
The other thing, while we're talking about Bran and Jaime and people that are going to be coming up there to meet, is I'm honestly really interested to see, and I would love to see Bran interact with Varys.
Well,
and the reason why is
he'll be there.
The reason why is like Varys is famous for having the best spy network, but Bran is like the ultimate little bird or little raven or little wolf, whatever Varys will make up for him as a nickname.
Yeah. Seer.
I mean, can you imagine if Bran ends up calling Varys out on his influence towards the Mad King?
Well, yeah,
as the spy master.
But like, what did he really do? Like, what has Varys really ever done to betray anybody?
Well, Varys serves the realm. He said that.
So he keeps saying, but he doesn't.
Well, so you're right. So he does say his ultimate goal. I mean, he gave it away to Oberyn Martell when he stared at the throne about when he said that he doesn't have desire. So
but
I've always thought he wants to.
No, he doesn't want the throne. He wants a Targaryen on the throne.
It does make sense, but he was always trying to undermine Rhaegar in a way.
That's true.
And if you remember, Rhaegar was trying to rally the lords of Westeros at the tourney of Harrenhal.
So they say.
Right. So they say. They thought he was the one that had funded it, and Varys is the one that told the Mad King to go. Now, what the Mad King's intention was when he got there, or if he was just acting like he wasn't watching Rhaegar, and he used he made Jaime say the words of the Kingsguard, or the Kingsguard oath. Oath of the Kingsguard, so that he could say throw like a rope-a-dope.
Well, that was just to piss Tywin off to take his.
That's obviously why that was.
Yeah. Tywin left Varys that.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's an honorable thing for a lesser house to have, but a house like the Lannisters, a great house, he stole his heir.
Yep.
Um,
His line ended right then because the King Aerys already knew that he would never give it to Tyrion. So then again, maybe he knew that Tyrion was his anyway. Who
I
knows?
mean that. I
But
mean, I
don't believe
I wouldn't
that.
rule that theory out myself, but
Personally, if any of them are secret Targaryens, it'd be Jaime and Cersei, I think, not Tyrion. Tyrion acts way too much like Tywin, looks like him and everything, and Jaime and Cersei don't. And Cersei, boy, does she resemble a lot of what the Mad King was like or said was like.
oh, she's definitely has a lot of mad,
She's a psychopath.
mad characteristics to it.
She loves wildfire, that's for sure.
Oh God, yeah, she's ready to use that stuff at any point. But keeping it on the tourney of Harrenhal, I've seen this in other theory videos, and a lot of people have speculated about Lyanna Stark being the Knight of the Laughing Tree.
Of course she was. I believe
And
it.
I do too. It just makes more sense.
Oh yeah.
The other end of it is how the Mad King sent Rhaegar to go find the Knight of the Laughing Tree.
I never understood that part.
What's that?
I never understood that part. Why he hated her that night so bad.
He said that the Knight of the Laughing Tree was no friend of his.
No, I know, but what made him say that is what I want to know. What?
Unless Brendan Rivers whispered something in the king's ear, or if it was Bran Stark in a
I don't know.
going back in time and whispering something in his ear. I mean, I doubt Bran Stark would say something about his aunt, but I mean, he was hearing whispers. But you have a mystery knight that you don't know who it is, and it wouldn't draw.
You're there because you think your son's starting a rebellion against you. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Fair
And
enough.
like
fair enough.
Right. And like the theory goes with Rhaegar and Lyanna having their time together, because he claimed he only found the shield of the mystery knight with the laughing shield, and I personally think he found a little more than that.
Yep. And all that was left was the shield of her.
Right.
Yep.
Well,
that pervert. He was 25. She was like 15.
so somewhere along those lines, because everyone is I wouldn't say speculated, but people have said that Lyanna did not want to marry Robert because he was a womanizer, and his interest was drinking and going to brothels and hunting and all that. And it's like she didn't.
No, I think Lyanna would have beat the hell out of him.
Probably. Me personally, I think that Lyanna and Rhaegar were playing the Game of Thrones against Robert, and she wanted to get out of his betrothal and not have to marry him because she didn't want to be with a man like that. And I think Rhaegar saw that, and Rhaegar loved her, and Rhaegar was willing to go do anything for her, along with the whole, ice and fire theory and having the third head of the dragon.
Yeah, like the whole tourney of Harrenhal, everybody says, oh, it was a big meetup of all the lords and everything. No, I think Rhaegar knew he needed a third child. That entire tourney was just a big dating pool for Rhaegar to pick a noble woman or women of higher class to have the third head of the dragon. When he found out that Lyanna had that, just that kind of personality in her to beat three.
And it makes
dudes.
sense because
He's like, that's the one I need to make the third one with. That's what the entire tourney was for.
I mean, he was a nut about prophecy. like they said, he was wildly crazy about prophecy,
No,
and he had to have thought that Lyanna Stark was that one special woman that he needed
yeah,
to complete his prophecy
but see,
that he thought he was a part of.
he had to have them all in one spot so he could, observe them all and meet them all. Because I'm sure that
Right.
he never met Lyanna before this time.
I mean, it's a big gimmick to throw at everybody. This big old tourney. Everybody's focused on the knights, and
He's
nobody really
he's
knows what's going on.
he's the crown prince. He can do whatever he wants.
Exactly. But
That's what it was. It was just a big, who am I gonna fuck?
oh, of course.
That's all it was.
But back to the theory of Lyanna and Rhaegar, I believe I should say, when Rhaegar was summoned back to lead the army, he saw his opportunity to kill Robert, so Lyanna wouldn't have to marry him. Now, regardless of the theories, whether he's still alive or not,
Great theory, dude. I like it. I like that. I never thought about that, but I like that.
he failed and he died.
And just in case, he left his best guys back with Lyanna.
Yes,
because he
And
knew
just-
Robert would come.
Right. Now, Robert did not come because Robert was sitting on his throne, or
Well,
He's-
Robert
Ned
and
Stark
Ned
went
had,
down there.
Well, Ned and Robert had a huge blowout fight when Robert got there.
well, right. It was over the Martell children, or
Yep.
the Targaryen children by Elio Martell.
Yeah.
Because Ed Art was like, dude, this is wrong, and it shows how legitimate the reaction is of him wanting to give Cersei a chance to get her kids out when he was calling her out about her and Jaime.
Yep.
He didn't want bloodshed because Robert would have killed him
Oh yeah, definitely.
if he had found out that those were not his.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why John was John. I mean, and that was and not for nothing, but I mean, like the killing of Targaryen children is a big thing between Ned and Robert twice.
Yeah.
And the second time it got him killed. So
Right. So, I mean, that's where I stand with the theory.
okay, here's a question: did the Sword of Dawn go back to Starfall, or did they bring it back with him with Jon, or Aegon, I should say?
I personally think the Sword of Dawn is in Starfall
You think
because
so?
Ashara Dane killed herself after Ned Stark brought it to her, and she realized that her brother was dead.
That's one theory.
The other, if Dawn is anywhere, it's in the crypts of Winterfell.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Like, which one do you think is more plausible? Because
Personally,
now,
because
you
Ned
have
Stark
a newborn,
is-
right? You have a newborn baby that is a Targaryen that you have to protect. You have to make it like it's yours, and in case Robert comes across, you have to really sell it, right? Wouldn't you want to get north as soon as possible with it? Because he beat Cat back to Winterfell, and Cat was only in the Riverlands.
Well, the thing was, they said about him returning Dawn to Starfall was after Robert's coronation.
I think it was, yeah. Well, I mean, it was all in the same time.
I mean,
of
think
course.
about it, though. Like you just said, he went straight to the north, dropped off his supposed bastard child, Jon Snow, a.k.a. Aegon Targaryen.
Which everybody has such a big problem. I just want sorry to sidetrack here, but way off topic radio, guys. Now, everybody's all up in arms about naming him or Aegon. And what, he's going to have two sons named Aegon? Yes, because he thought, because there's a particular quote that Rhaegar said when he named the first Aegon. It said, Aegon is a great name for a king or something like that. I forget the exact quote, but he did say it like that. So, Lena already knew that the Martell, the queen was dead, and Aegon and was it Rhaenys?
It was Rhaenys. It was
Yeah,
Rhaegar named his 3 children after Aegon and his 2 sister wives,
that's right.
Rhaenys and Visenya. And I guess he was expecting that Lyanna Stark was going to bring him a girl because he had already had Aegon, and that's what basically he was going after. But yet,
Yeah, exactly. So, like, but she already knew this, that they were dead. So that's why she told, Lyanna named Jon Snow Aegon in honor of the dead one that, in the show is canon. I'm pretty sure. I really doubt that they're gonna use season 8 to unveil the whole Fagon bullshit with young Griff and old Griff with the Golden Company. Now, the Golden Company is involved, but they're just a big sellsword army. That's all they are. They're not. It's not going to have young Griff in it. That plot, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
Well,
that's a book thing.
This is my thing. If they do take that plot from the books and put it to the show, whether it's a Blackfire or it's a Targaryen, and this is how I see it happening. If it's a Blackfire, will they be motivated to fight against Daenerys Targaryen? And if they do happen to find out,
of course they would.
right. But that's my point. Will they be more motivated, almost to the fact that they'll almost do it for free to get revenge against Targaryens because they were led by Blackfire,
But none of them are Blackfires. All the Blackfires are dead. The only one that's supposedly alive is freaking Varys.
Right.
But we don't even know that. He's, for all we know, he's a Targaryen.
But they could honor the former Blackfires and their name.
Well, they do carry the golden skull of the last Blackfire with them into battle.
That's true. I mean, that's almost could be like their idol of not saying literally that guy was their god.
I think they just get paid a shit ton of money to do that for show. Because they're
Right.
that good. Yeah.
The other question or theory I have is about if Aegon, the one that was the child of Elia and Rhaegar Targaryen, if he's in the Golden Company, like was he put in there by Illyria?
He's dead.
And Varys.
He's dead.
Because George R.R. Martin did say, without a doubt, Visenya. You could tell it was Visenya that got killed at King's Landing by the mountain.
But Aegon was unrecognizable.
That's just book.
Yeah, that's all book canon and book story.
That's just book canon that probably won't ever show.
Yeah, like literally, it is true, and the Aegon Targaryen the First is young Griff in the book. They've already crossed into, the Narrow Sea into Westeros. I forget exactly where they took over, but it's around the neck, and that's where they are right now.
Right.
They've already crossed to, take over the throne. But Daenerys, she hasn't even left yet in the books. So, I guess we'll see what who gets there first and who makes the bigger splash, I suppose. Plus, the only person that knows about Aegon, your young Griff, is old Griff, and he's got grayscale, so he's going to die soon. So, who's going to prove his legitimacy in the first place? I don't know. Varys, maybe? Because in the book, it's Varys. But
Bran could.
Well, that's true. Bran can do anything as long as you give him a time
scenario?
and a place. Well, he's like not even in a scenario, just a time and a place in a year or whatever. He's like a DeLorean now.
Right.
Yeah.
While we're still talking about like the Golden Company, will the Golden Company draw the line with the Night King and the Night's Watch? Like, will the
Wouldn't you?
Golden Company? Huh?
Wouldn't you? You say there's not enough gold enough in this
No,
world?
no, 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 no. Will they join? Will they join the North to help fight the Night King versus saying, okay, we're going to get paid X amount of gold
Oh,
to
that's
try and take down these forces, but yet we won't ever live to spend this gold if we
no,
don't help with the Night King.
no,
You know what I mean?
no. They'll stay in King's Landing for the entire time. You might see, like maybe a commander or two of them here and there, but they'll never be used. I don't think they'll just stay in, King's Landing and wait to see what happens with John and Danny up north. And that's Cersei's plan because Euron went to go get them. He's not going back to the Iron Islands. That was a great, sell by him. By the way, he fooled me. So he went to go get the Golden Company and bring them back to King's Landing because Cersei already paid for him. She already signed the contract because she already got the gold from Highgarden and everything. It's been long enough.
Right.
So
I'm also wondering if it's possible that we'll ever see Dario Naharis again.
I think so.
Will we see him interfere with, say, Euron trying to bring back over the Golden Company? Like, will he burn their ships or something, or take their ships?
But it is interesting that he was basically the head of the Second Sons, another sellsword company, and you have to imagine that if one sellsword company like the Golden Company all of a sudden gets all this gold and to go over to Westeros or whatever, he's going to put two and two together because he's going to have to hear about it,
Well, that's what I would think. There's some kind of network going around, like common knowledge, like, hey, this sellsword group just got hired to do this, and he might hear about it. I would think that he would take the initiative and go over to help Danny.
Well, he doesn't want to be there, so.
Boy, that would be interesting seeing him and Jon Snow interact.
Will it be a third different actor? And not just the second. Will it be another different actor for the third time for Dario, or just the second guy?
I hope not. I mean, I like the second actor. He seemed like he brought more personality than the first one.
Well, the first one couldn't act worth a shit. I don't think he was there to act.
Right.
Yeah, he was just there for eye candy for the ladies. Just like the finale, that was for the ladies because we got no nip at all. Z, we didn't even get a side boob. We got nothing. We just got some amazing side cheeks of John and a bunch of fucking scrapes on.
It's funny that you mentioned that part.
Well, think about it. Auntie Daenerys now has a bunch of scrapes on her belly from the the unhealed wounds in his stomach.
If Bran wasn't playing history time with Sam, he could have warged into Danny and said, "Stop it! I'm your aunt."
Oh shit! Maybe he did, and he was like, "Wow, okay." And then
that's what I
season
think
8, the three-eyed raven becomes a woman. No one's seen that coming.
Yeah,
that's funny.
That really would have thrown off the audience.
Well,
killed the moment.
In the book, one of the skin changers tried to do that, and a male cannot skin change into a female human being. It goes very bad for the girl, for the female. She basically kills herself by ripping herself apart.
Yeah, well, a faceless man can.
Well, that's not skin changing. That's just wearing their face.
Right.
That's Mission Impossible.
Arya proved it was possible. She imitated good old Walter Frey.
I thought that
Just
was a
decent.
great beginning to the
When I
season.
first saw that, I was like, "Is this a flashback?" I was like, "That old pedophile is dead." And then as soon as she said something, like as soon as she was saying something about like um, killing a woman, and she's bringing out wine, I said, "Oh no, that's Arya."
Yeah, he was telling everybody everything that they did fucked up, and that's why you're now all throwing up and dying because you drank my the wine that was poisoned.
Right?
And I like how instead of telling the girl next to her, "Don't drink that," he,
Yeah, I'm not gonna waste good wine on a woman. That's
exactly.
that sounded something just like Walter Frey would have said.
Yeah, and it was so late. Like everybody was already dead. She didn't have to say that. You know what I mean? And that's when she reveals who she is. I mean, it was funny. Oh man, there was
I'm
an.
wondering.
Uh, so
I'm
okay,
wondering if Arya, since we're talking about her, I'm wondering if Arya is going to take Littlefinger's face and maybe go down to King's Landing and consult with Cersei, because if you remember the last conversation, um, the last conversation Littlefinger had with Cersei was him not only undermining the Boltons, but he was still undermining her with the Tyrells and even the Boltons. Like he was playing three different angles at that. I mean,
right.
probably even more than three, but
Well, and Cersei
related
with
around those.
Sansa's head.
Yeah, and he said that he had located her and said where she was,
Yeah,
and he's in the Erie, and Cersei knew that because he was supposed to bring Lysa Arryn to the fold, and he was playing her on that, and he ended up making himself Lord of the Vale. Well, not Lord over
well,
Sweet Rob,
yeah,
but
you just give that kid a popsicle and you pretty
yeah,
much control him. Apparently,
yeah, that's all that kid needed. Um,
I mean, I guess she could use the face. She did kill him in a spot
well,
where
she slit his throat. She slit his throat. She didn't mess his face up, and they didn't never
exactly.
show what they did with the body.
Nope.
So if anything, she could take that face and she could wear it, and she could go down. As long as, I mean, there was a lot of people in that room that saw Littlefinger die. So
The word's gonna
unless
get out.
yeah, unless Qyburn has spies, had a spy in that room, or has spies at Winterfell, which he probably does because Littlefinger was talking to that little girl at Winterfell, and Arya watched him. That could have been one of Qyburn's little birds that was passing a note to him.
Didn't he give her something?
Yeah, they exchanged something,
Yeah. Then she ran off. That's right.
and then later after that, that's when that Maester gave him the scroll that he wanted Arya to find
Right.
about Sansa writing that letter from Cersei.
It's funny how everybody's glanced over that fact that he gave something to that girl. Wonder what it was.
Well, immediately, I thought of that was his way of communicating with Cersei, or that was just one of his spies in his spy network.
That's true.
But Cersei, that is, hasn't said anything about Littlefinger's involvement with her. She's kept that quiet because I guess that's just how she runs her spy network. And
But however, she has said that if Littlefinger ever shows his face again back in,
I think the only way that would happen is if Cersei summoned him and she hadn't heard that he was dead.
it's true. But I mean, if she's gonna do that, then Arya needs to get his face and get him move on.
And that's true. That is true. The other thing
Which
is,
I don't think she's gonna do. I don't know.
she probably won't, but it's a possibility. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think Jamie's gonna get there first and let them know what the deal is first, and then maybe Arya will go down south because, Cersei's trying to double cross him, so she's gonna go cross another name off her list.
Well, if anything, what she could do is she could take
And the
Littlefinger's
Hound
face
goes
down.
with her, and we
Yeah.
get and we get Arya and the Hound journey back to Winterfell. I mean, King's Landing, and we get Clegane Bowl, and we get freaking, you know, and I don't think she'll use Littlefinger. I think she'll use Jaime's face because he doesn't have to be dead.
You think about it though, that if Arya takes Littlefinger's face down to King's Landing, and he ends up killing Cersei, and he takes her face, and then Arya is the one that actually has command over King's Landing,
and then sends all the Golden Company north to help fight Jon with Jon.
That or just disbands him one or something.
That is true, and but you know, I do like the whole Hound and Arya traveling back scenario. I mean,
it was a really good combo, seeing them stay together through, you know, and him teaching her little things, and you know, them interacting and the jokes they made. I mean, he was like the tough love father that she never had.
Yeah, I love when she stabbed him in the chest, and he just smacks her in the face.
He said, "Marin, your Bravosi's dead or whatever," and Marin Tran isn't, because Marin Tran had honor and a big fucking sword.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of went over the whole theory with the whole Sierra Farrell thing with you. I'm not going to go over it on here at all. It's going to take too long. People will lose me about 2 minutes in, and it'll be a waste of time. But not that half of what I say on the show is a waste of time anyway. So what was your overall opinion on season 7?
Honestly, in comparison to the last seasons, I mean, we did see the wall fall, and I guess that was our you know, hellfire and brimstone destruction to something in Westeros. Like in season 6, we saw the Great Sept of Baelor fall due to wildfire.
Well, I mean, comparatively, I don't think they're in the same ballpark.
Well, no,
but Tommen just straight
two,
jumping out the window afterwards, that was pretty awesome.
I mean, just comparing those two things, yes, a bunch of people didn't die at the wall, or as many people didn't die.
And by the way, Tormund and Beric are still alive. They ran west up the wall far enough.
Well, you saw the meme I posted. I mean, some dude, the guys from the Night Watch right now, as much as they love shoveling, they're looking for Tormund and Beric right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm pretty sure you said that. It was funny.
If Grin was still alive, he'd be talking about the shoveling, and so would Ed. Ed would be out there making everybody dig latrine pits, and you know, and they'd be looking for.
Yeah, I know, right? So, like, you know, basically, the Night's Watch got to 999, and Dolores said, "It's the infamous, you know, commander that, you know, failed." Poor guy. The wall fell, buddy, and you didn't even know it. You know.
Well, to give him credit, he is at Castle Black, and that was at Eastwatch by the Sea. And when they were showing the episode clips, or what they showed of it in the episode, you never saw anyone of the Night's Watch there. I don't remember when they got Gendry and brought him back, if there was Night Watchmen there or not.
No, it was.
I think
they were all wildlings.
Right. That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
But they're all at Castle Black because the last thing that they remember, that, you know, they had what was it when Mance attacked the wall? Was less than 100 men. Maester.
Less than 1,000.
Maester. No. John said
100,000.
No. I'm talking about the Night's Watch. How many people the Night's Watch had? Because Maester Aemon said how many people they had, including him, and they said it was just about 100 men, and they lost a bunch of guys the night that Mance Raider attacked that attacked the wall. Because remember that I think it was John that said it. I think it was John that said it, that even even if every one of us kills 100 wild wings, it still probably won't be enough.
No.
Because, so the Night's Watch at Castle Black is very thin, and if they had to spread them out, I mean, they're even less.
Wouldn't be able to.
Right.
Well, if it wasn't for Stannis, they'd all be dead.
Of course. We were just talking about the wall coming down.
Yeah.
In comparison to, fire, dragonfire, wildfire. This is my question.
What's that?
This is an argument with slight of how fire works. The red flames of fire are not as hot as the blue flames.
Blue's always the hottest.
Exactly. That's my point. The dragon.
But it didn't seem like it melted anything.
Whatever. I mean, yeah.
It almost seemed like it was a substance like that. When it hit something, it destroyed it. It wasn't. I mean,
of course,
fire
we didn't see the wall cry, but yet the wall fell. So something broke those apart. I mean, think about it. When you stick an ice cube in, say, a glass of hot tea or something, what does it do? It cracks.
Yeah, but if you have the ice cube sitting in the in the air, right, being all nice and chilly, and you throw a rock at it, it's going to crumble, not melt.
Right.
So whatever, he's not an ice dragon. He's not a white. He was dead, and the Night King brought him back by touching him. So that's the first time I've ever seen the Night King touch something that was dead and turn its eyes blue. He didn't raise it, so it's not a.
Well, even
zombie.
the whites had blue eyes.
Sure, they had blue eyes,
but
how he raises them and how he makes them is very, very important.
Well, we have seen, at least in this show, we have seen him raised by arms, and we have seen him raised by touch, and we've seen the touch. We've seen the touch on two different cases, one on a baby, and the other on a dead beast.
Right, which we've never seen, him do anything on dead. It was always alive.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the dead ones, they just became zombies. But this one, he's riding them. I don't know if he's warged into him to ride them. I mean, skin changed into him to ride them. Or if he's just got that whole, telepathy with the dragon thing that Daenerys has.
Well,
I don't know.
I would think that he is controlling, regardless whether
one way or not.
Regardless whether Viserion is a white or a White Walker dragon, I would think that he is controlling him just like he would control any other member of his army. They just follow his command.
But I mean, you and I both agree that's not a nice dragon. People.
No, it's obviously not a nice dragon, and I thought it originally was going to be. But let's just say that.
Symbolically, he's a nice dragon. Realistically, he's not.
Right. But let's just say that Viserion is a White Walker dragon. If he burns someone, does their body disintegrate? If his blue flame is truly fire, does their body just disintegrate, or does his flame empower them to be
it's fire.
White?
Oh, I never heard of that.
You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I like that. When they're alive, turn them into a white. That's insane.
And it turns them into a white. Like he blows a flame on you, and then all of a sudden you turn into a white. Is that possible? Is that going to be something that they're going to do? Because honestly, what is going to kill, where humans, we'll say, are going to fail, is anyone that dies becomes meat for the army of the dead.
Or just gains the you lose 1 million soldiers, now you're fighting against 1 million plus more soldiers of the other army.
Exactly.
It's kind of like it's it's just exponential. You know.
You there?
Yeah. Your mic was cutting out.
Yeah, sorry, I hit my headset.
It's all good.
We talked about how would the Night King get his army past the wall. Now, with the exception that, let's say he didn't take down the wall. Let's say he just flew that dragon. How many people are in King's Landing?
1 million.
According to the show, 1 million.
Yeah.
Though it doesn't matter how many people they actually kill, or how many whites they actually kill, or how many White Walkers they kill. Even if they kill all the White Walkers, the Night King could potentially raise everyone in King's Landing with Viserion. That is, if my thought is true about him just breathing fire or whatever the heck it is he's breathing on the citizens of King's Landing and just turning them to whites.
I think it's a bunch of ice, really.
I mean, it very well could be. I'm not going to rule it. I'm not going to swear to it to anything.
He's not an ice dragon, but I think he's shooting out like ice projectiles, and that's why the wall came down the way it did.
The other question is does Viserion as a white dragon can he do ice and fire?
I'm going to say no.
Is there a difference? Because everyone's arguing the fact that how can a white shoot fire if fire hurts and kills whites? You know?
Yeah, why would you have a weapon as
how does a weapon come at? How does a
Exactly.
weapon come from you that can kill you?
Why would you make a weapon like that can kill you? It doesn't make any sense. That's why I'm going with he's shooting ice out. That's how the wall fell. Because it had to be like, it's almost like he sandblasted the wall down. If you want a metaphor of it, or like your example, I guess, or whatever you want to call it.
I'm sure that I don't know when they'll reveal that, but I hope they squash that one pretty quick with what Viserion actually does with his breath.
They're gonna need to, because we need to know now. And just imagine Beric and freaking Tormund right at the edge of the wall of where it fell, but it's still up, right? And they're seeing all these hundreds of thousands of whites just marching south, dude. And a dragon, and giants, and all the other crap, man. That's going to be... I really think Season 8, Episode 1 is going to open with Beric and Tormund, looking over the edge of the walkway that they made it onto, watching all this happen. What do you think?
I don't know, man. I would like to think...
Be a great visual.
I would like to think that as soon as Season 8 starts, Tormund jumps out and makes an igloo joke. And Beric makes some joke about, well, if you followed the Lord of Light, you wouldn't have to worry about being cold.
There you go. I mean, and by the way, they never ever explained in the show that Beric's blood can turn a sword into fire. His blood is fire. He's a fire white. So
well, we've also seen him ignite that sword 2 different ways. I mean, he literally charged that sword up with fire like a lightsaber, and another time he just used his hand and just touched it.
And okay, I had Episode 6 was awesome and everything. It was really cool how it happened, but I got a lot of problems with that episode. Number one, how long was Jon and Jorah together before they got north of the wall? Honestly, they were on a boat, then they were at Eastwatch, then they went, you know what I mean? At any given time before that, so Jon could get, I don't know, another sword just in case Jorah took it. Why on earth would you, finally tell Jorah and, about, Longclaw and everything north of the wall and totally unarm yourself?
Well, what was his name? The Night's Watchman that Jon fought at Craster's Keep, was it Carl Tanner or Carl?
Yeah, Tanner. Yeah.
So maybe John wanted to wield daggers because that's what Jorah was wielding, and he learned a thing or two from him.
Well, they all had daggers because it was all the dragon glass that they mined. They made them all into daggers.
Well,
Some of them
Torment had an axe that was made of dragon glass. At least the blade part was made of dragon glass.
That is true. Yeah, that's
And
true.
and Beric was the only one wielding steel, but I guess he got away with it.
But that's because
it
whites
was,
were fire. You know, you get
oh,
them
no,
fire,
no.
they go up.
But the point I was going to make about that was if and I want to see this too. I'm sure other people probably would. I honestly want to know if if a sword is lit on fire, like say Beric's sword, standard, nothing special, not Valyrian steel, not Dawn, just a standard castle forged steel sword
Yep.
lit on fire. Will it not shatter against one of the ice spears that like we saw in season?
Oh, definitely would. Definitely would. Definitely would. The only thing that doesn't is Valyrian steel.
I mean, think of it as a song of ice and fire. You have ice and fire clashing against each other. You know what I mean? What happens? Do they just meet, or does one
True.
dominate?
But there is a story about, Thoros of Mir, always lighting his sword on fire, and it would break all the time because it would get too brittle.
Well, right.
But
He
that's
was
in the
always
books.
going to the blacksmith because
Yeah.
he always used wildfire on his swords.
Exactly. But Beric doesn't need that. All he has to do is run it down his palm, and his blood ignites it. And I'm saying, spread the wealth to everybody, Beric. What are you doing?
Well, you would think that they would have like some Lord of the Light ritual before they went up beyond the wall to get everybody's flaming swords or whatever, because the
Yeah.
flaming swords seemed to work pretty well.
I mean, it kept Beric alive.
Yeah, it did. It didn't help. It didn't help Thoros, but
And the Hound just
it
watched.
cauterized his wound.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, no, because it was fire. He wasn't going near it.
Yeah.
So,
People were saying about, you were talking about Clegane being afraid of fire, and you and I talked about this in DMs, and I wanted to bring it up, but how Theon conquered his reek thing, and
eventually, yeah.
well, in the last episode he did,
Yep.
and he's going to go after R now. Will Sandor Clegane go after his brother, the Mountain, and take him on? Will he embrace the Lord of Light and say, light his sword on fire and kill his brother with fire? And, he conquers his fear of fire, and he, what causes the Mountain to die is fire.
Is it?
At the hands of
But
the Hound.
What exactly is he going to set on fire? I mean, the Mountain is like head to toe and just leather and shit, and a crazy looking helmet.
I mean, who knows, dude? I mean,
maybe just a sword right through the head. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean that helmet he wears has got two big spots for a sword to go through,
That's
and
true.
the way that helmet's shaped, that's a big exposure at the head.
That's very
And
true.
we've seen the Hound decapitate a guy with a freaking wood axe. I mean, come on. And as much as he hates his brother and how he talks about how hate keeps him going and keeps him fueled, oh yeah, that head's coming off that shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, it was almost like the beginning of that meeting, that parlay, when the Hound went over. That was like a weigh-in.
How much did you wish that they had a dispute and they had to have some kind of trial by combat, or you know what I mean, like a trial by 7 or something?
Well,
I mean, I wanted to see like a combat scene there, or just something like they couldn't come to an agreement, between Cersei and Dany and Jon. They couldn't come to the agreement, at least that is Jon and Dany couldn't come with an agreement to Cersei, and they had to settle it with some kind of combat trial. I thought that would have been like the perfect spot.
Yeah, but
to do that.
that is the faith of the seven ritual, and I'm pretty sure Cersei's not
I
a
mean, yeah,
subscriber.
the trial of the seven is something out of the books, and it's definitely something Cersei would not probably want to be involved in. She did remove the Sons of Baelor and even the 7-pointed star above the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
So she would probably not want to be anything involved in that.
No.
But that would have been so cool to see. And I'm honestly surprised of all the wildfire that's supposedly still under King's Landing that Cersei didn't throw that out there unless she just didn't want to reveal that secret.
Because I'm pretty sure she knows Tyrion knows where it all is too.
And he does because he's heard the stories from Jaime, and he's been down there and seen how much wildfire's in King's Landing.
Yep. Very true. Very true. All right. So, what was your favorite episode out of season 7?
I really liked episode 4.
Okay.
When we actually got to see the Dothraki in the field.
That was pretty badass.
You talked about the foreshadowing with Jaime and Ned in the episode where they squared off. It's just like Robert said, a Dothraki horde at our gates. I mean, yeah, it wasn't.
He called it.
It wasn't at King's Landing, but he.
It kind of was.
Described,
it was across the bay of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was right at that one river that feeds the Blackwater Bay. I forget the name of it.
The Blackwater Rush.
Yeah, the Blackwater. Thank you, the Blackwater Rush. But it showed the brutality and how capable and capable warriors that the Dothraki are. I mean, regardless what anybody says about them, they really showed off how good they are in battle. I mean, on horseback, shooting a bow and arrow.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, did you see the one that jumped from one horse to another? Jeez.
I don't think I caught that, but I wouldn't doubt that for a second.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts.
I mean, it's like they said, if you ask me, the Dothraki, if you could compare certain groups of Game of Thrones towards fantasy characters, the Dothraki to me would be the centaurs of Game of Thrones. The half man, half horse.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they're so good on horseback, and that's where they really shine in battle, is cavalry. And, in any medieval-based movie I've seen, cavalry always is what tears the armies up, and then whoever has the better cavalry generally is who, wins the battle.
Because they break through the line that they set up for some reason. Because people love standing in a line to fight a war back then.
Right.
So.
But that whole scene,
excuse me,
the whole scene of Daenerys bringing out her dragon, and the Dothraki taking down the Lannisters, and they walked through them like it was nothing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was a massacre. They caught them off guard. They were really spread real thin. They didn't have much reinforcements. They hardly had anything set up, and it just showed the true power of Daenerys's forces.
Yeah, and it was only a part. It wasn't even the full.
Yeah.
It was one dragon, not 3. It was a third of the Dothraki horde, not all. I mean, it was pretty. Yeah. I mean, Jaime was just straight up, we can't beat them. So, and I don't know. In episode 7, how all of a sudden, I mean, it was cool looking how the Unsullied made it to King's Landing from Castle Rock. Let's just jump right over that story arc, and hey, they marched from there to here. End of story. Move along. Not important. I didn't care. Did you?
Yeah. King's Landing scene in episode 7. I was honestly disappointed by it.
The whole dragon pit scene and everything?
I mean, it was nice to see the Dragon Pit to get an idea of what it used to be like. I honestly expected it to be bigger, but of course, they picked like a natural, you know,
Right. Yeah.
where they made do with what they had. I mean, the books is always going to make it sound, or the illustrations that people get from the books, is always going to make it look bigger. But
Cool. Yeah.
my bigger thing with the Dragon Pit scene is that they could have done more with it if they wanted to. But the Dragon Pit scene to me was about as exciting as them going beyond the wall. Now, the beyond the wall part, what I loved most about it, each watch, I mean, when they went beyond the wall at each watch, was the dialogue that each character had between each other. I mean, I thought that was as far as episodes and the best dialogue, that episode had the best dialogue, I think, because it was so nice to get to see, like, say, Tormund and the Hound interact. Just
I like Dick.
two hard men just going back and forth.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Beric Dondarrion's dialogue with Jon Snow, the way he like counseled him and talked to him. You know what I mean? Like he truly respected Jon Snow because of who his dad was, or who he thinks his dad is. That is,
Yeah.
and just the way they talk to each other. Hey, man, we can relate. We've both been brought back. Blah blah blah. I knew your dad. At least I think I knew your dad.
Yep.
And just how he talked to him. And John's like, you know, he comes to the, you know, the thought of, we are the shield that guards the realms of men. And Beric's like, you know, maybe that's enough.
Yeah. I mean, how many people do you think did not catch on that that's part of the oath, you know, of the Night Watchman, or the Night Watch, right?
Well, I mean, the Night's Watch.
I mean, that is part of the oath. I mean, that's like the beginning of it.
Right, it is. But if you really think about it, what has Jon Snow done aside from reclaiming Winterfell for his sister and for himself and his family? He's still acting as a Night's Watchman.
He just knows what the priority is, and he is super focused on it.
I mean, he did break his vow for a second time. That is, if you were considering him a Night's Watchman.
Well, see, you're a Night's Watch guy until you're dead. He's dead.
No. I'm with you on that 1,000%. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, theoretically, he would still be a Ninth Watchman because he's still trying to rally people to the wall. Just like, what was the guy's name that kept Arya safe and was going to take her to Winterfell?
The Hound?
No. The Night's Watchman that was going to take her in.
His name was Euron, actually. It was like, it's Euron Greyjoy, and then there's Euron. It's like a slight variant pronunciation on the E, but it sounds very, very similar.
Well, Jon Snow is doing almost nothing no different than that guy was. He's rallying people to go to the wall. I mean, he's not getting them to swear the oath of the Night's Watchman, but yet he's bringing people together to help guard the realm and help.
But what John's doing is he's bringing them people together who don't like each other, but they're united
and that's right. But think about the Night's Watchmen. How many of the Night's Watchmen really like each other? I mean, yes, they're all brothers. They call each other brothers, but I mean, it's like they've always said.
Convicts.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's community service for Westeros.
What do they call it?
A life sentence of community service for Westeros.
Yeah, glorified penal colony.
Right. And he brought all these people together because they're breathing, as he said, between the jail cells. So he's still acting as a Night's Watchman. Will he ever go back to the wall as a Night's Watch? I doubt it, but
No,
yet
he's done with that.
when he comes back up there, and if he ever runs with Ed again, Ed's going to see his dedication. So
You think he's going to take Ed's head right off for failing?
I doubt it.
Nice. Right on, man. I mean, we can go on for hours about this. Honestly, I know there's so much to talk about, and we haven't even skimmed we haven't even skimmed the surface of each season 7 itself, let alone what's coming up at season 8, or let alone what could be anywhere else in the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
So I think. What do you think? You want to do this again in about another weekend or so? Maybe we'll have some other people with us next weekend, and we'll keep on going with this.
It doesn't matter to me, man. Whatever you want to do.
Sounds good to me, man. I mean, I love talking about this stuff. I don't know, debating it and everything. What you liked, what you didn't like. And I'm so glad that now we get to talk about it without any leaks of any sort of any kind. It's all speculation again, and it's awesome.
There's going to be a lot of theories coming out between now and 2019, and I'm saying that because of worst case scenario.
and I'm going to say the biggest disappointment: no Jack and Hagar at all.
There was rumors about him going to be in season 7.
Yeah,
because they said he was spotted.
But he said it.
But I personally think that if we do see him, it's going to be probably something to do with him calling out Arya, killing people in the name of Arya Stark and not as no one. Because she's.
Well, I don't think he cares really.
He probably doesn't. He did make the comment to her that you have a lot of names on your list, and you could offer them up to the Red God.
Yeah, I mean, as long as people are dying, Jaqen's in business, So, and there's plenty of heads that are, just think about all the heads that the Lannisters owe. All, more than what they have left. So, maybe Arya is the one that is the balance that comes and takes it, and that's why, Jaqen won't come for her for what she's taking, right? And what are you going to get out of one girl anyway? All right, and Jaqen's such an awesome character. He's one of my favorite characters. We could go on for like 3 hours about him and not get anywhere at all. So, I think on that one, man. Again, where can they find you on Twitter to talk some more Game of Thrones if they like to?
Hypernuts _ with a Z.
Right on. And that's double LNKZ. Hit up Pez. He loved the season. Hopefully he'll be with us next week. It's Chris Pez without the vowels. There you go. And it's Way Off Topic Radio. Drop the A because Twitter sucks. So I think on that one, Z, looking forward to the next time we're talking, man.
Yeah, you too, man. I look forward to it.
Yep. And Chris came up with an interesting way to end the show, kind of like this.